This is Seymour from Zuckerman Harpsichords, and this video's tutorial will show you how to correctly wind music wire on a Zither tuning pin. Good winding is pleasing to look at, but more importantly prevents the new string from breaking and will have the proper downbearing for good tone on your instrument. I will be using this Z-box to demonstrate proper pin winding technique. I will be replacing 4 strings in different ranges of the instrument so you can see how different the lengths of the wire need to be to wind on the tuning pin. I will explain more about wire length to pin later. First, make sure the pins you have are in fact zither pins. Notice the square head of the zither pin, while the historical tapered style tuning pins have more of an almost Phillips screw head look to it. I have already made the hitch pin loops for the strings I am going to replace. If you are needing a stringing schedule for your Z-Box or Zuckerman instrument, please email us at info@zhi.net. That email will be in the description box if you have any questions or concerns about your instrument. I also can't stress enough the importance of having a good hitch pin loop. The better your loop is, the more your instrument will stay in tune, and the less likely the string will break again. Sagerman also has a helpful video on making hitch pin loops, if you're wanting a tutorial on that. At the shop, many of us use the zither pin measurement stick to be able to have the correct amount of wire for our tuning pins. I know this isn't an option for many at home, so I will show you another way to approximately get a good length later. This circle represents where the hole for the tuning pin that you are trying to replace music wire on will be on the rest plank. These lines represent the different music wire gauges you'll encounter when stringing. The thicker wire is closest to the tuning pin hole mark of the stick. The thinner wire will be near the end of the stick. Some of us at the shop like to approximate what the tuning pin wire length should be by using our hands. For example, I know that if I'm starting out with a heavier gauge, like 25 red brass, I will need less than a hand's length. The middle of the keyboard would be about 1.5 hands length. If I get to the higher treble, I would need more than 2 hands length. The results won't be as exact, but it's a nice tip for when you are only replacing a few strings and don't have a measurement tool on you. Getting the correct amount of wire on your tuning pins will make your instrument look more uniform in the end. I will begin at the base end. I have hooked my hitch pin loop to the hitch pin and placed it on the correct side of its bridge pin. Don't worry if the string comes off the bridge pin, we can fix that before we add tension to the string, or we can always give the string some slack to place it back. I'm using the measurement stick to figure out where the wire should end. Placing the hole marker on the stick on the tuning pin hole, you'll see that this is 25 wire, so it should end about here. You can use wire clippers to cut off the excess wire, but I like to slide the tuning pin on the wire so that I can wind off the excess. You want the end of the wire to be flush to the tuning pin so that it's not sticking out and won't be a hazard to handle. Starting the winding process, you're going to want to pull on the string so that there is tension while winding. Make sure the coils are tightly wound, one right next to the other, but not overlapping. Overlapping will cause the string to break. I wind until I can put it into the tuning pin hole with enough tension that my windings won't come undone when I place it into the hole. Towards the end of the pin, sometimes I give the winding more space so that there is some downbearing. Downbearing ensures solid contact with the nut and gives the instrument a better tone. Once I have the winding done how I want, I place the tuning pin into the hole. Notice how my windings aren't coming undone because of the tension I have on it already. I then take a hammer and tap the tuning pin into place by eyeballing it to the pins adjacent to it. You can also use a block of wood to help you get uniform length with all of your pins. Things to check after hammering your pin in: make sure the hitch pin loop is all the way down on the hitch pin, check to see that the string is on the correct side of the bridge pin, and do the same with the nut pin. Check the downbearing and make sure there isn't too much or too little downbearing. If coils come undone a little bit, you can always try to fix it with your fingernail or a screwdriver to try to push it so that they're all together. I'm going to do the same process to the remaining strings now, and I will show you each time how the length varies with each wire gauge. I also wanted to show you guys what happens when you have wire that is too short or too long. The pin on the left shows what happens when the wire is too long. Sometimes they overlap with each other. And then obviously the one on the right has too little wire. It looks very sparse compared to its neighbors. So that's my tutorial for today. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. If you have any questions or concerns, email us at info@zhi.net. Thank you for watching this video.